Here's the big story we're tracking for you this hour. India's parliament is set to debate a no-confidence motion today against the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The debate is likely to last 2 days, with Mr. Modi expected to reply on Thursday.
It comes amid frequent disruptions in the parliamentary session, with the opposition demanding a detailed debate on the ethnic clashes in Manipur and a statement from the Prime Minister on the issue. The numbers favour Mr. Modi's government, so the motion will almost certainly fail. But opposition parties plan to use the vote to force the Prime Minister to speak on the ethnic clashes and crimes against women in Manipur. The debate in the Lok Sabha, or the lower house of Parliament, is likely to be stormy. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, whose membership was reinstated yesterday, is likely to speak during the debate.
His party has stitched together a grand coalition with a host of regional parties. This opposition bloc, called India, is likely to use the opportunity to demonstrate its unity to challenge the Modi-led BJP in elections next year. The government, however, says it's confident of sailing through the vote. Both the government and the opposition have accused each other of avoiding a debate on the ethnic clashes in Manipur that have claimed more than 150 lives and displaced a further 50,000 people. More than 3 months since the troubles broke out, the situation there still remains tense and unresolved.
As we mentioned, the no-confidence debate comes as opposition leader Rahul Gandhi gets reinstated in Parliament after the nation's top court suspended his defamation conviction on Friday. A large crowd of opposition lawmakers chanted Mr. Gandhi's name as he made his way to the Parliament yesterday. Mr. Gandhi is resuming his post, representing his constituency in the southern state of Kerala. He was disqualified in March after being convicted of insulting those sharing the surname of Prime Minister Modi during a rally in 2019. He was handed a 2-year jail sentence. Critics have slammed the conviction as politically motivated. But with his latest court ruling, Mr. Gandhi will be able to contest in national elections scheduled for next year.
Nia Punia with more on how Rahul Gandhi's reinstatement might affect the no-confidence motion to be debated in Parliament.
Well, through the last 3 weeks, the opposition has tried repeatedly to raise the issue of Manipur, and this no-confidence motion in part was an attempt on their part to try and get one of their demands fulfilled that the government has refused to give in on, which is not only that the government hold a debate in the House, but also have Prime Minister Modi issue a statement. Now, they still don't have the numbers to win that vote of no confidence. Prime Minister Modi's party, the BJP, by itself has a massive majority in the House, not counting its allies, which adds to its number tally even further. But when Rahul Gandhi speaks on Tuesday, and the Congress is confirming that there's a significant speech he is about to deliver on the day the vote of no confidence debate begins, it's quite likely he's going to raise several issues, including the security situation in Manipur. There's going to be, we're told, questions on the Chief Minister of Manipur, who is a leader from Prime Minister Modi's party, the BJP, and why he's not been sacked despite violence continuing on the ground. It's quite likely his own suspension from Parliament briefly for 4 months might also come up, given how the opposition is talking about this being vendetta politics. And it's quite likely that other opposition leaders will take on from where Rahul Gandhi ends, and we will see a much more strident voice coming out from the opposition benches when that debate takes place.
For more insight on developments in Indian politics, let's speak now with Irfan Norden. He's a professor of Indian politics at the Walsh School of Foreign Service at Georgetown University. Now, Professor, even if the no-confidence vote doesn't go through, it seems the Prime Minister will have to appear on the Parliament floor to answer questions and address the Manipur crisis. Could we expect a detailed statement? And what do you expect to hear from him?
I wish we would get a detailed statement, but expectations must be tempered. The goal of this was to get the Prime Minister to appear, to go on the record. The Prime Minister is likely to use his comments to criticize the opposition for being divisive in a moment of national crisis. And we've been told by his surrogates that it's likely that his speech and the speeches of his supporters will raise issues of electoral violence in the state of West Bengal, or some anti-women violence that has occurred in the state of Rajasthan, Importantly, both those states are controlled by the opposition. And so I don't think we're going to get a debate about Manipur. Rather, we're going to get a bit of a tit for tat with the opposition using their speeches to criticize the government's handling of the Manipur situation, and the Prime Minister's response largely focusing on what he's going to label as hypocrisy of the opposition and pointing to the fact that their own states, the states that they control, also have violence and anti-women acts of general heinousness. The truth is that this was a parliamentary tactic to get the Prime Minister to appear. And I think the real question is, why did it take a no confidence motion in the budget session of Parliament for the Prime Minister to finally come out and address his fellow members of Parliament about what has been a tremendous national embarrassment, the complete abandonment of law and order in the state of Manipur. We've all seen the images, but it's been now over the course of 4 months, and the Prime Minister has yet to address Parliament, has yet to address the nation. And so I think that's a real question that Indians will be asking. And to the extent that they ask that question, the opposition will consider it a victory.
And with regards to Manipur and the conflict that's been going on there, it's between ethnic Kuki Christians and Metis Hindus. Help us understand the issues and the role that Prime Minister Modi and his government have played in it all.
For many, this is a classic example of what one might call top-down nationalism, beginning to undo local ethnic solidarity, or at least community. There's always been ethnic conflict in Manipur, at least latent, between these two communities. There is, as you pointed out, a religious difference. There is also that is overlaid on caste and tribal differences. But for the most part, there has been local level peace in Manipur. But the BJP has adopted a pretty strident Hindu nationalism, a majoritarian Hindu politics throughout the nation, and northeast India, where Manipur sits, has been a particular lab for some of the most strident Hindu consolidation or the consolidation of the Hindu vote. Manipur was a laboratory over there. The Chief Minister Biren Singh is the leader of the BJP. And so for many observers, this is a sad but cautionary tale of what happens when top leadership uses national level narratives about majoritarianism, about Hinduism, in order to win local elections. And this has just sort of infected the body politic. How we roll this back is pretty hard to imagine at this point in time. It's hard to be very optimistic. There have been churches burned. We have seen the violence against women, women gang raped, paraded naked in the streets. People are being displaced in numbers that we don't even know because the government won't report any of this, and it's very hard for journalists to get independent news out. And of course, this leads to tit-for-tat politics. There is violence then committed by the aggrieved minorities, but there is no hands that are innocent any longer. There is plenty of blood on everyone's hands. And unfortunately, there has been no accountability. The chief minister has not been sacked. President's rule, which has often been invoked in such situations, has not been used by the central government. The Supreme Court has suggested that the entire operation of law and order has fallen apart and has demanded answers from the state machinery. So we've been watching over 4 months now the slow unraveling of a very complex state, but a state that for the most part has been peaceful for many years and now looks like it might never be peaceful again, at least not in the near future. We have essentially seen a civil war break out on Indian soil.
All right, Professor. So looking ahead, what do you think is the potential impact of the Manipur crisis that we're seeing now on the BJP's electoral prospects in the next election? And could Rahul Gandhi, who actually visited Manipur back in June, gain political advantage over his opponent?
For many Indians who are firm supporters of the BJP, either because they really buy the Hindu nationalist narrative, the majoritarian politics, or because they do believe that Mr. Modi has been a good prime minister 10 years now. Really, economic reforms have been a major talking point of his. A lot of people feel like India is changing for the better. Those folks are not going to get swayed by this. But for what we might call swing voters, undecided voters, the images coming out of Manipur beg answers. It's very hard for people to just look at this and say, hey, this is how government should be functioning, that this looks perfectly good. And the BJP is a party that has run on a platform of being pro-law and order. They've made a big show of abrogating Kashmir's state status. We just had the 5th anniversary of that on August 5th. Again, that was the idea that we're going to fight against violence. We're not going to allow that kind of disorder. So what does it mean when you see this kind of disorder break out in a state controlled by the BJP? We are about 8 months away from elections in India, presumably next April and May in 2024. Yes, I think we're going to hear a lot about Manipur from the opposition. It gives them a convenient talking point, especially since the Prime Minister seems really allergic to talking about it himself. But whether or not that can really sway voters in order to affect the election, that will be a different question. Far more likely to do that are issues of inflation, which is sky high, unemployment, which is very high, and general bread and butter issues.
All right, Professor Nooruddin, thank you very much for your time and your expertise. Professor Irfan Norden from Georgetown University.